First contact and underestimation. Admiral Helena Chen stood at the viewport of Artemis Station, Earth's most advanced orbital platform. Below her, the blue-green marble of humanity's homeworld rotated serenely, blissfully unaware of the storm that was about to break across the solar system. "Admiral, we're picking up unusual readings at the edge of the Kuiper Belt," Lieutenant Kaido Nakamura reported, his eyes never leaving his console. Multiple objects decelerating from what appears to be faster-than-light travel. Chen's spine stiffened. Humanity had achieved remarkable technological advances in the past 3 decades. Fusion power, limited gravity manipulation, and highly efficient propulsion systems. But true FTL travel remained theoretical. If someone was dropping out of faster-than-light speeds at the edge of their solar system, they weren't human. "Show me," she commanded, her voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through her system. The main display shifted to show deep space telemetry. Dozens of objects, ranging from frigate to dreadnought size, were appearing at the outer boundaries of Sol. Their configurations were unlike anything in Earth's design language. Sleek, crystalline structures that seemed to bend light around them. "Contact the Security Council immediately," Chen ordered, "and bring prototype EX-01 to operational readiness." "Ma'am." Nakamura's eyes widened. "EX-01 is still in testing phase. We haven't even completed the—" "I'm aware, Lieutenant, but we may not have the luxury of completing the test schedule." Chen's gaze returned to the display where more ships continued to materialize. "They clearly have technology well beyond our current capabilities. We need every asset available." Within hours, the unknown fleet had dispatched a single vessel toward Earth. It moved at tremendous speed, covering the vast distance from Neptune's orbit to Earth in less than a day. Earth's combined military forces maintained a defensive posture, but no hostile actions were taken. The alien ship halted just beyond lunar orbit and broadcast a message in perfect English. "People of Earth, we are representatives of the Viridian Empire, sovereign rulers of 17 star systems and protectors of this galactic sector. We have come to formally incorporate your world into our benevolent domain. Please prepare your leaders for diplomatic discussions regarding the terms of your integration." The message was simple, clear, and left no room for rejection. Integration was presented as a foregone conclusion. In the United Nations Security Council chamber, representatives from Earth's nations gathered in emergency session. "We should at least hear them out," the Russian delegate argued. "If their technology is as advanced as it appears, resistance could be suicide." "Hear them out, yes," Admiral Chen countered, standing before the assembled delegates. "But from a position of strength, not submission. We've spent the past decade developing technologies that might surprise even these Viridians." The Chinese representative nodded. "Admiral Chen is right. The prototype program was created precisely for this scenario. First contact with a technologically superior civilization." After heated debate, the Council agreed to a meeting aboard Artemis Station, neutral ground between Earth and the alien vessel. The Viridian delegation arrived in a small transport craft that hummed with exotic energy signatures. Their appearance was striking, humanoid, but with iridescent skin that shifted colors with their movements, and eyes with vertical pupils that glowed with an inner light. Their leader introduced himself as High Commander Thrix. "We are pleased by your willingness to discuss peaceful integration," he began, his mouth forming a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "The transition will be smoother if you accept our guidance without resistance." United Nations Secretary-General Amara Okafor responded diplomatically. "We appreciate your offer. However, Earth is an independent world with its own sovereign nations. We are not seeking to be integrated into any empire." Thrix's skin rippled with blue patterns that the Earth delegation's xenolinguists would later identify as amusement. "Your independence is an illusion we will respectfully dispel," Thrix replied, examining a small device in his hand. "Our scans show your technological development is barely at Class 3. You've achieved basic space travel within your own system, rudimentary energy weapons, and primitive shielding technology. The Viridian Empire is at Class 9. The disparity between us is greater than that between you and an insect colony. Admiral Chen felt her jaw tighten, but maintained her composure. The prototype program was classified beyond top secret. If the Viridian scans had detected those ships, they gave no indication. Nevertheless, Okafor insisted, "We decline integration. We are willing to establish diplomatic relations, trade agreements, cultural exchanges, but Earth will remain independent." Thrix's skin darkened to a deep purple. "I admire your spirit, if not your wisdom." He stood, signaling the end of the meeting. "We will give you 14 of your days to reconsider. After that, integration will proceed with or without your cooperation." As the Viridian delegation departed, Chen approached Okafor. 14 days isn't much time. "Will your prototypes be ready?" the Secretary General asked quietly. Chen's expression remained neutral. X-01 is operational now. The others will need more time. But, Madam Secretary, even with the prototype fleet, we may be severely outmatched. "We don't need to defeat them, Admiral," Okafor replied. "We just need to make integration more costly than they're willing to pay." The Viridians wasted no time demonstrating their technological superiority. 3 days after the meeting, they neutralized Earth's satellite defense network with precision energy pulses that disabled the systems without destroying the hardware. A warning shot. Thrix announced in a global broadcast, "Your weapons platforms have been deactivated. They were no threat to us, but we prefer our new territories to be disarmed before integration." What the Viridians didn't realize was that their demonstration provided Earth scientists with valuable data on their weapons systems. In underground facilities around the world, engineers worked frantically to adapt the prototype shields based on this new information. Admiral Chen supervised final preparations aboard EX-01, now christened Defiance. The ship looked deceptively simple. A sleek, matte black hull with few external features. Its true capabilities were hidden beneath its unassuming exterior. "Kinetic barriers at 89% efficiency," reported Commander Sanjay Patel, the ship's chief engineer. "We've incorporated the Viridian energy signatures into our deflection algorithms. They should be more effective now, but without combat testing, I can't make guarantees." "Their overconfidence is our advantage, Commander," Chen replied. "They think we're harmless." When the Viridians detected unusual energy signatures from a hidden shipyard in the asteroid belt, they dispatched 3 cruisers to investigate. They encountered what appeared to be a primitive Earth vessel, the Defiance, attempting to flee the area. "Attention, Earth vessel," the Viridian commander transmitted. "Power down and prepare to be boarded. Your unauthorized construction facilities are in violation of pre-integration protocols." Admiral Chen, commanding the Defiance, responded with deliberate humility. "Please, we're just a research vessel. We mean no harm." The lead Viridian cruiser fired a warning shot, an energy beam that should have disabled the Earth ship's propulsion. Instead, the beam struck a previously invisible barrier several meters from the Defiance's hull and dissipated in a flash of blue light. Inside the Viridian command ship, alarms sounded. "Impossible," the Viridian weapons officer exclaimed. "They have adaptive shielding technology. That's at least Class 6. The commander stared at the readings in disbelief. "Open fire. Full weapons array." Multiple energy beams lanced toward the Defiance, only to be absorbed by its shields. Then the Earth vessel responded. Ports along its hull opened, revealing weapon systems that had been completely concealed. Brilliant white energy pulses erupted from the ship, striking the lead Viridian cruiser with pinpoint accuracy. The cruiser's shields flared and held, but the Viridian commander was stunned. How could they have developed directed energy weapons of this caliber? Our intelligence indicated they were limited to chemical propellants and nuclear fission. The battle was brief but revelatory. While the Defiance couldn't penetrate the Viridian shields completely, its weapons and defenses were far beyond what the aliens had believed possible. After a tense exchange that damaged one of the Viridian vessels, the aliens withdrew to reassess. Back on their command ship, High Commander Thrix received the report with growing rage. His skin had turned a deep crimson, a sign of extreme agitation among his species. "One ship," he hissed. "One prototype vessel nearly disabled a cruiser. How is this possible?" His science officer displayed analysis of the battle. "They've been concealing their true technological level, Commander. That ship employed graviton-based weapons we believed were beyond their capability. And their shields," he paused, "they appear to be using principles similar to our own, but with modifications we haven't encountered before." Thrix paced the command deck. "Find out everything about their prototype program. I want to know how many of these ships they have, where they're being built, and what other surprises they're hiding." His vertical pupils narrowed to thin slits. "And prepare the fleet for combat operations. If these humans want to resist, we will show them the full might of the Viridian Empire." On Earth, leaders watched recordings of the encounter with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The Defiance had held its own, but it was just one ship, and the Viridians had an armada. Phase 1 complete, Admiral Chen reported to the Security Council. "We shattered their preconceptions and bought ourselves time. Now we need to prepare for their retaliation." Secretary General Okafor nodded grimly. "How long until the other prototypes are ready?" 4 more can be operational within 10 days. The remaining 3 will take longer." "Will it be enough?" someone asked. Admiral Chen's expression was determined but realistic. "Against their entire fleet? No, but it might be enough to convince them that conquering Earth will cost more than we're worth." As she spoke, the Defiance docked with Artemis Station, its hull showing only minimal damage from the encounter. The real test was yet to come. The rising tension. In the 5 days following the asteroid belt skirmish, Earth experienced an uneasy quiet. The Viridian fleet maintained its position beyond lunar orbit, neither advancing nor retreating. Occasional scout ships performed high-speed passes through Earth's orbital paths, scanning and observing, but taking no hostile action. On the surface, humanity prepared for war. Ancient national rivalries were set aside as governments pooled resources and shared classified military technology. Underground bunkers were stocked, civilian evacuation plans finalized, and orbital defense platforms, those the Viridians hadn't disabled, reconfigured with new shielding technology derived from the Defiance's systems. Deep within Maxwell Montes, the tallest mountain range on Venus, Earth's second prototype vessel underwent final preparations. Unlike the combat-oriented Defiance, Hexaduro-2 Phoenix had been designed with different priorities. Its systems were focused on stealth, electronic warfare, and a revolutionary propulsion system that, in theory, could match the Viridian's FTL capabilities. Captain Leila Mbeki inspected her new command with professional detachment masking inner turmoil. The Phoenix was the most advanced vessel ever created by human hands, yet it was being rushed into service before its full testing regimen was complete. "Talk to me about the Whisper Drive, Dr. Reynolds," she said to the ship's lead scientist, a lanky man whose rumpled appearance belied his brilliant mind. "It works by folding space-time in a way that—" he began. "The simplified version, please. Will it get us where we need to go without tearing the ship apart?" Reynolds sighed. 93% chance of success for short jumps within the solar system. Beyond that, he shrugged. We've never tested it at those distances. And the stealth systems. The metamaterial hull absorbs 99.7% of scanning frequencies the Viridians have used so far. We're practically invisible unless they're looking right at us with visual sensors. Mbeki nodded. Good enough. We launch in 6 hours. Meanwhile, in Earth orbit, Artemis Station had become humanity's de facto military headquarters. Admiral Chen and the Joint Chiefs of Staff coordinated global defense strategies, while diplomatic channels remained open with the Viridians. "They're stalling," Chen observed as she reviewed the latest communication from High Commander Thrix. These repeated requests for cultural exchange are just buying time while they analyze our capabilities. General Ibrahim Santos of the United Earth Defense Force nodded. Our intelligence suggests they're bringing in reinforcements from nearby systems. 3 more capital ships arrived yesterday at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. Then we need to accelerate our timetable, Chen decided. Captain Mbiki's mission can't wait. The Phoenix's mission was humanity's most audacious gambit, a reconnaissance operation to gather intelligence on the Viridian fleet's capabilities, followed by a diplomatic overture that the Security Council hoped would change the dynamic of the confrontation. As preparations continued, High Commander Thrix invited Earth's representatives to a second meeting, this time aboard his flagship, the Immutable Truth. A trap, General Santos declared when the invitation arrived. Undoubtedly, Secretary General Okafor agreed, but one we must spring carefully. Their arrogance might provide the opening we need. The Earth delegation that arrived on the Viridian flagship included diplomats, scientists, and military officers, including Admiral Chen. The massive alien vessel dwarfed anything in Earth's fleet, its crystalline corridors stretching for kilometers in every direction. High Commander Thrix greeted them with the same condescending smile as before, though his skin now displayed patterns of deep blue and purple, colors that Earth's xenolinguists had come to associate with confidence and anticipation. "Welcome aboard the pride of the Viridian fleet," he said, gesturing broadly. "I trust this demonstration of our technological achievement will help you understand the futility of resistance." "Impressive," Admiral Chen acknowledged, while her augmented contact lenses recorded everything for later analysis. "Though I note your artificial gravity systems create a slight oscillation in the deck plating minus 10.4 Hz, if I'm not mistaken. Our prototypes eliminated that issue last year." Thrix's skin flashed briefly with red, annoyance, before returning to its confident blue. "A minor engineering detail. Perhaps once integration is complete, we might find use for some of your technical personnel." The meeting proceeded with the Viridians presenting their terms for Earth's incorporation into their empire. The conditions were predictably one-sided. Earth would disarm completely, submit to Viridian governance, and provide resources and labor for the empire's expansion. In exchange, Thrix concluded, we offer protection from other, less benevolent spacefaring civilizations, access to certain approved technologies, and eventual limited self-governance after a probationary period of 70 Earth years. Secretary General Okafor maintained a diplomatic facade. "We appreciate your detailed proposal, High Commander. We request 48 hours to consult with Earth's governments." Thrix's skin rippled with patterns that suggested amusement. "Of course. Though I should inform you that we've detected unusual energy signatures from your Venusian outpost. Any attempt to expand your prototype fleet will be considered a hostile action." As the Earth delegation departed, Admiral Chen exchanged a meaningful glance with Okafor. The Viridians knew about Venus, but did they know about Phoenix? The answer came 12 hours later. 3 Viridian destroyers entered orbit around Venus and began systematic scanning of the planet's surface. They concentrated particularly on Maxwell Montes, their energy beams prodding the mountain range for signs of human activity. What they couldn't detect was that the Phoenix had already departed, slipping away using its revolutionary stealth systems hours before the Viridians arrived. The ship was now moving silently through the solar system, its mission underway despite the heightened alert. Captain Mbiki stood on the Phoenix's bridge, monitoring their progress toward Jupiter's moon Europa, where long-range sensors had detected unusual Viridian activity. "Status of the Whisper Drive," she asked her chief engineer. "Containment fields holding at 94%. We can make the jump to Europa on your command." Mbiki took a deep breath. This would be the first combat deployment of mankind's experimental FTL system. Engage. For a fraction of a second, reality seemed to bend around the Phoenix. The stars stretched and distorted in the viewports, and then snapped back into position. Where Venus had been visible moments before, Now the massive form of Jupiter dominated the view, with Europa a small crescent nearby. Jump successful, the navigation officer reported, unable to keep the wonder from his voice. Position is within 0.02% of targeted coordinates. Any sign we were detected? Mbeki asked. Negative. Stealth systems functioning normally. The Phoenix approached Europa cautiously, its sensors gathering data on the Viridian presence. What they discovered alarmed them. The aliens had established a forward base on the icy moon and were drilling through its surface toward the subsurface ocean. They're after the extremophile bacteria, Dr. Reynolds realized, studying the readings. Europa's organisms evolved to survive in conditions similar to Viridian colony worlds. They're harvesting genetic material. More concerning was the massive energy signature emanating from the base. Whatever the Viridians were building there, it was powerful enough to register on sensors from thousands of kilometers away. We need a closer look, Mbeki decided. Prepare a stealth probe. The probe, little more than a collection of advanced sensors wrapped in the same metamaterial as the Phoenix's hull, drifted silently toward the Viridian base. Its transmissions revealed the truth. The aliens were constructing a massive weapons platform, one capable of striking targets throughout the solar system. This isn't just about integrating Earth, Mbeki realized. They're preparing to sterilize the planet if we resist. The Phoenix had the element of surprise and weapons that might damage the incomplete platform, but attacking would reveal their position and capabilities to the entire Viridian fleet. Instead, Mbeki made a different decision. Prepare the Whisper drive for multiple short jumps. We're going to gather intel on every Viridian position in the system, then return to Earth with everything we've learned. Over the next 36 hours, the Phoenix conducted the most comprehensive reconnaissance mission in human history. It jumped from location to location throughout the solar system, observing Viridian fleet movements, scanning their vessels for weaknesses, and mapping their deployment patterns. During a close pass of a Viridian dreadnought near Saturn, they made their most valuable discovery. The alien ship's power cores generated a unique quantum resonance pattern that might be exploitable. Their shields are nearly impenetrable, Chief Engineer Commander Julia Rodriguez explained during the mission debriefing. But they have to lower the harmonics for brief microseconds when firing their main weapons. It's a tiny window, but with precise timing, we might be able to penetrate their defenses. Meanwhile, the diplomatic clock was running out. The 48 hours granted by Thrix were nearly expired, and Earth's Security Council needed to formulate a response. The weapon platform at Europa changes everything, Admiral Chen argued. They never intended peaceful integration. They're preparing for full conquest, possibly genocide, if we resist too effectively. Secretary General Okafor nodded grimly. Then we must strike first, with everything we have. Not everything, Chen countered. Based on Captain Mbeki's intelligence, we should deploy the Defiance and the 3 operational prototypes to disable the Europa platform before it's completed. The Phoenix can coordinate the attack using its stealth capabilities. And when the Viridians retaliate with their main fleet, General Santos asked. Admiral Chen's expression was grim. Then we implement Operation Firebreak. Operation Firebreak was the most classified aspect of Earth's defense plan, a last resort strategy that even most of the Security Council wasn't fully briefed on. Only 3 prototypes had been dedicated to the plan, and they had been hidden in a location known to fewer than 10 people on the planet. As the council session concluded, Secretary General Okafor signed the authorization for humanity's first deliberate act of interstellar war. May God help us all, she whispered as Admiral Chen departed to implement the attack plan. 12 hours later, High Commander Thrix received Earth's official response to the integration proposal. It was a single line of text. Humanity rejects servitude in all its forms. Thrix's skin darkened to deep purple with rage. Prepare the fleet for combat operations. We will begin with their orbital platforms, then their major cities. Once their leadership structure is decapitated, the remainder will submit. But as the Viridian fleet began to move into attack position, alarms sounded throughout their command network. The Europa weapon platform was under attack by 4 Earth vessels that had appeared seemingly from nowhere. Impossible. Thrix raged. How did they know about Europa? How did they get past our sensor network? The battle for humanity's future had begun in earnest. Turning the tide. The attack on the Europa platform unfolded with precision that surprised even its planners. The 4 Earth prototype vessels, Defiance, Indomitable, Resolute, and Audacious, emerged from short-range whisper drive jumps in perfect formation, their weapons already locked on critical points of the Viridian installation. Coordinating from a safe distance under stealth, the Phoenix transmitted final targeting data. All vessels, this is Phoenix Actual, Captain Miki broadcast on the secure quantum channel. Strike package Alpha is uploaded to your fire control systems. Weapons free on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Mark. The prototype ships fired simultaneously. From the Defiance, Admiral Chen watched as brilliant energy pulses streaked toward the Viridian platform. Status of enemy defense systems, she demanded. They're powering up shields, but they're only at 32% capacity, her tactical officer reported. They weren't expecting us. The coordinated barrage struck the platform at precisely calculated points, where conventional weapons would have been absorbed by even partial Viridian shields. The prototype vessel's graviton-based weapons exploited the quantum resonance vulnerability discovered by the Phoenix. On the platform's command deck, Viridian officers scrambled to respond to the sudden attack. Shield harmonics are destabilizing, one shouted. The Earth weapons are creating some kind of resonance cascade. The platform's commander stared in disbelief at the tactical display. Impossible. Their technology couldn't have advanced this quickly. Send distress signals to the fleet. But the Phoenix had anticipated this move. As the platform attempted to broadcast, the stealth vessel activated its electronic warfare suite, flooding Viridian communications channels with precisely modulated interference. No help is coming, Mbeki murmured as she watched the battle unfold. Not in time, anyway. The Europa platform's primary power core suffered a catastrophic failure 3 minutes into the attack. Secondary explosions rippled through the structure as emergency containment systems failed. The 4 Earth vessels continued their assault methodically, targeting weapon emplacements and propulsion systems. 7 minutes after the attack began, the platform's commander ordered evacuation. Escape pods launched in all directions, racing away from the dying station. Target the escape vessels, asked the Defiance's weapons officer. Admiral Chen shook her head. Negative. We're not here to slaughter them. Let them go. She activated the comm system. All ships, primary objective accomplished. Execute Phase 2. Phase 2 was equally bold, a rapid strike against Viridian forward bases throughout the solar system. Using the Whisper Drive's short jump capability, the 5 prototype vessels conducted hit-and-run attacks against alien outposts on Mars, Ganymede, and Titan. Each strike lasted less than 5 minutes, with the Earth ships appearing, causing maximum damage to military targets, and disappearing before reinforcements could arrive. On the Immutable Truth, High Commander Thrix received reports of the coordinated attacks with growing fury. His skin had turned almost black with rage, a color rarely seen among his species. How are they doing this? He demanded of his advisors. Our intelligence indicated they had only 1, perhaps 2 prototype vessels. His chief strategist, Sub-Commander Nirix, studied the battle data with growing concern. The humans are employing some form of space-folding technology for rapid deployment. And their weapons? She paused, reviewing the data again. They're specifically calibrated to exploit power fluctuations in our shield systems. Impossible. Thrix slammed his fist on the command console. Their technology was barely Class 3 when we arrived. Evidently, our intelligence was flawed. Nirix replied carefully. I recommend we withdraw to consolidate our forces and reassess. Thrix's vertical pupils narrowed to slits. Withdraw. before a primitive species that has barely left its own planet. Never. Prepare the fleet for full attack formation. We will crush these humans with overwhelming force. Across the solar system, the Viridian Armada began to converge. Over 60 vessels, from nimble destroyers to massive dreadnoughts, formed up in battle groups and accelerated toward Earth. On Artemis Station, the Joint Defense Command watched the Viridian movements with grim determination. "They're committing their full force," General Santos observed. "Just as we predicted." Secretary General Okafor nodded. "Admiral Chen's attacks have provoked exactly the response we needed. But are we ready for what comes next?" "The prototype fleet is returning to Earth orbit as planned," Santos reported. "And Operation Firebreak is in final preparation." The 5 prototype vessels that had struck the Viridian outposts returned to Earth, taking defensive positions around the planet. They were joined by 2 more prototypes that had been rush completed in the days since the conflict began. 7 advanced warships against 60. The odds appeared insurmountable. What the Viridians didn't know was that humanity had one final card to play. As the alien fleet approached Earth, High Commander Thrix broadcast his ultimatum. "People of Earth, your feudal resistance has only hastened your subjugation. Surrender now, and we will limit planetary casualties to military targets only. Continue to resist, and we will reduce your civilization to ashes." Earth's response came not in words, but in action. As the Viridian fleet entered weapons range, Admiral Chen gave the order that humanity had been preparing for since first contact. "Execute Operation Firebreak. All units, engage." From concealed positions in the asteroid belt, 3 final prototype vessels emerged. Unlike the others, these ships, designated Nemesis, Retribution, and Judgment, had been designed with a single purpose: to deploy the most destructive weapon humanity had ever conceived. The quantum cascade device had been theoretical until 6 months ago. Based on principles discovered during development of the Whisper Drive, it created a cascading disruption in the quantum field that could devastate any system utilizing similar technology. The weapon couldn't harm Earth's relatively primitive technology, but against the advanced quantum systems of the Viridian ships, it would be devastating. "Cascade devices primed," reported Captain Anna Volkov from the Nemesis. "Targeting data locked. Firing solution complete." "Execute," Chen ordered. Her voice steadied despite the weight of the moment. The 3 vessels fired simultaneously. There was no brilliant flash, no dramatic explosion, just 3 innocuous-looking projectiles accelerating toward the heart of the Viridian fleet. On the immutable truth, sensors detected the incoming objects. "Unknown projectiles approaching," the tactical officer reported. "Minimal energy signatures, likely primitive nuclear weapons." Thrix dismissed them with a contemptuous gesture. "Our shields can withstand their entire nuclear arsenal. Continue the advance." The cascade devices detonated in the midst of the Viridian formation. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a subtle ripple spread through space, invisible to the naked eye, but devastating at the quantum level. Throughout the Viridian fleet, shipboard systems began failing. Shield generators overloaded. Power cores destabilized. Weapons systems went offline. The quantum-based technology that gave the Viridians their superiority had become their greatest vulnerability. "What's happening?" Thrix demanded as alarms blared across his flagship. "Restore power to the main systems." "We can't," his chief engineer replied, panic evident in his voice and in the rapid color changes rippling across his skin. "Something is disrupting the quantum matrix. The cascade effect is spreading through all connected systems." Within minutes, 3/4 of the Viridian fleet was adrift in space, their advanced technology rendered useless by the quantum cascade. Only those vessels at the edges of the formation, partially shielded by their comrades, maintained limited functionality. Admiral Chen wasted no time. All prototype vessels engaged the remaining active targets. Conventional Earth forces begin recovery operations for disabled Viridian ships. The 7 Earth prototype vessels moved with precision, targeting those Viridian ships that still maintained power. Without their full shield capabilities, and with many of their weapons offline, the aliens were quickly overwhelmed. On the Immutable Truth, now operating on emergency power, High Commander Thrix watched in disbelief as his mighty armada was systematically neutralized by a handful of Earth vessels. How? He whispered as the tactical display showed more of his ships going dark. How could they have developed a weapon that targets our quantum systems? Sub-Commander Nerix's skin had turned the pale blue of resignation. We underestimated them, Commander. Their technological development didn't follow the standard progression we've seen in other species. They focused on understanding fundamental principles rather than incremental advances. The bridge shuddered as a direct hit from the Defiance breached their weakened shields. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut as sections of the flagship lost atmosphere. Commander, the communications officer called. The humans are hailing us. On the main screen, Admiral Helena Chen's face appeared. Behind her, the bridge of the Defiance buzzed with controlled activity. High Commander Thrix, she began, your fleet is neutralized. Your weapon platform is destroyed. Earth remains free. I offer you a choice. Surrender and accept our terms, or continue this conflict to its inevitable conclusion. Thrix's skin darkened with rage and humiliation. What terms could primitives possibly offer the Viridian Empire? The same terms you might have offered us had you come in peace. Chen replied calmly. Diplomatic recognition, cultural exchange, limited technology sharing under mutually agreed safeguards, and most importantly, acknowledgement of Earth's sovereignty and our right to determine our own future. For a long moment, Thrix was silent, the colors swirling across his skin reflecting his internal conflict. Finally, with evident reluctance, he spoke. The Viridian Empire acknowledges your unexpected capabilities. We will withdraw our forces and consider your proposed terms. After the surrender, the process of disengagement began. Earth forces assisted in repairing Viridian vessels sufficiently for them to return to their territory. The diplomatic corps worked to establish frameworks for future relations between humanity and the Empire. 2 weeks after the battle, Admiral Chen met with Secretary General Okafor on Artemis Station. Below them, Earth continued its serene rotation, now protected by a fleet of prototype vessels and newly upgraded defense platforms incorporating technology reverse-engineered from the Viridian ships. The quantum cascade caused more damage than we anticipated, Chen reported. It will be years before their fleet is fully operational again. Years we can use to strengthen our position, Okafor noted. The Security Council has approved funding for 20 more prototype vessels. Chen nodded, and the whisper drive refinements from the Phoenix will allow us to extend our reach beyond the solar system. We're no longer confined to Earth. A new chapter for humanity, Okafor mused, gazing at the stars visible through the viewport. Though I doubt the Viridians will be our only challenge out there. No, Chen agreed, but we've proven something important, not just to the Viridians, but to ourselves. Technological advancement isn't linear. Understanding fundamental principles and applying them creatively can overcome seemingly insurmountable advantages. As if to punctuate her point, the Phoenix appeared in a flash of distorted space near the station, returning from its mission to monitor the Viridian withdrawal. And we've only just begun, the Admiral added softly. In the vastness of space, news of the Viridian defeat spread quickly through interstellar communications channels. Other spacefaring civilizations took note. The supposedly primitive humans of Earth had not only stood against a Class 9 civilization, but had decisively defeated them. Earth was no longer an insignificant blue dot in an unremarkable solar system. It was the home of a species that